Welcome back. Take a walk into the dense rainforests of New Guinea and Australia. And while you're at it, check out 39 birds of paradise on exhibit at the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science. Pretty interesting. And here with more on their latest exhibit and what you can see there is Dr. Asha Burdett. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
This is fascinating to me that we can actually have an exhibit that kind of showcases a part of the world that we might not be so familiar with in New Mexico.
Yeah,
right here.
It's a really exciting exhibit for me. I'm so excited to see all the birds there and to get to explore a different part of the world that I'm sure not many New Mexicans have been there.
So when did this begin and what can people see?
So it just opened last weekend.
Okay.
And the exhibit is really lovely. I've had so much positive feedback about it. Everybody's so excited. When you go there, you'll see specimens of the birds of paradise birds, and lots of games and interactives to learn all about the way the birds live and the way they breed, and learn a little bit about New Guinea as well.
Can you tell us exactly what, so for folks that are maybe thinking about this in their head but can't exactly picture it, what is a bird of paradise?
So a bird of paradise, birds of paradise is actually the name of a family of birds. So they're all sort of cousins to each other. Mm-hmm. Their closest, I'll get onto that later, they're really showy birds. The males have really fancy feathers and beautiful colors and crazy little whiskers coming off, and just really elaborate birds. But the females are really brown and drab. Okay,
but you have an example too of something that we might see maybe even in our own backyard that kind of gives paints a clear picture.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is sexual selection and mate choice. So here we can see two bluebirds from New Mexico. This one here is the female, and she's a little bit grey and fairly plain, whereas this is the male, and he's much more brightly coloured. And he's so brightly coloured to attract the girls.
Interesting. There are other animals also like that, and other birds, right, that are kind of the same way?
Yeah. So when there's not much threat from predators and they find plenty of food around, what they're selecting for is mate choice. So they're really looking for the pretty boys.
Now tell me about the crow.
The crow. So this is also from New Mexico, and everybody's seen crows around.
Sure.
This is one of the closest relatives to the bird of paradise, and certainly the closest in New Mexico.
How so?
So they share a common ancestor, and they've evolved out of that. So there's crows in New Guinea and Australia as well, and they've just taken a different evolutionary turn and ended up with these fancy feathers, and we've ended up with a black crow. I
was going to say, because when you think of a crow, or when you see them, because they're so common, you don't think of a bird of paradise.
No. But that's what's so interesting is how they've diverged like that.
Makes you think of them in a different way now, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
Appreciate the crow a little bit more. How were the specimens collected for this exhibit you got on display there?
So the specimens were not collected for the exhibit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the specimens that we have on exhibit are all really old. They were collected in the 1930s and 1950s. And they're actually on loan from a couple of different universities, from Drexel and Cornell, and from the National Geographic collection. So there's no new birds that were collected for this exhibit. In the exhibit you can learn about the guys that went out in the field and collected photos and videos and sound recordings, but they didn't collect any specimens.
It seems like from the video that we were showing as well, that this is a really educational exhibit. There's a lot of opportunity to read, to discover more. There's pictures, but also the specimens, right, to see?
Yeah. So it's great to be able to go and see the specimens. And I think there's 16 bird specimens, but there's also crazy things like hats and headdresses and other ways that the birds have been used as well.
Interesting.
And you can go in there, and as I was saying earlier, there's games to play, so that's a great way to learn as well, that you can really get interactive with these birds and learn about them in lots of different ways.
And I was going to say, I bet one of the goals of the museum is to really get people plugged in, get interactive as they tour, not just this exhibit, but others as well.
Absolutely. So our mission is to get people excited about natural history, and I think this exhibit does it really well.
This is one that I imagine would be good for kids too, to tour, right?
Yeah. There's plenty of buttons to press and lots of beautiful things to see, but I think grown-ups will enjoy it too. I certainly enjoy it.
Sure, and to see all the the different colors as you mentioned, and the different background. Again, birds that you wouldn't even imagine were a part of that line.
Yep.
All right, so how long is the exhibit going to be up for? Where can they go? What needs to happen there?
So it's up until August, and you can just go to the New Mexico Museum of Natural History and Science down there in Old Town, and it's included in our regular admission price.
What other things are you featuring right now that folks can also tour?
We have the walkthrough the time tracks.
Okay.
So walk through time. We have the Naturescapes photo salon will be up for another week or so, and lots of other interesting little things going on.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's a fascinating place, and I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I know you've got lots to talk about here with the birds, so we'll look forward to that. KRQE.com, KRQE links is a good place to go to get more information, and we appreciate it so much. Thank you. We'll be right back.